if you guys ever doubted, Estevao is him. I think it's confirmed because Chelsea and Enzo Maresca just made Barcelona and Hansi Flick look like rookies in the Champions League. And I think it's time for Hansi Flick to look in the mirror and question, is this high line really worth it? Is it really worth it? We have so much to talk about. So make sure you hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. Now, let's start with, for me, the biggest elephant in the room when talking about Barcelona. And this game just showcased it. Pedri. Big absence. Huge absence. And I think with the intensity that Chelsea played with, that midfield of Enzo and Caicedo and Reece James, Barcelona could just not keep up. Eric Garcia, who had a decent, I think actually stepped in very well on the weekend, could just not get anything right in that midfield. Chelsea suffocated them in possession, out of possession. I genuinely, I don't even know if it's reactionary, but I think that's one of the worst Barcelona performances I've seen under Hansi Flick. Genuinely speaking, because at no point did I think, you know what, Barcelona are going to get out of this rut. Lamine Yamal struggled to get into the game, despite the fact that he had, you know, the most amount of dribbles, successful dribbles for Barcelona. Cucurella had him in his pocket throughout most of the game, and he was comfortable with that. But I have to, for me, the elephant in the room when talking about Barcelona is the absence of Pedri. In these kind of games, when Barcelona can't get any control, they're struggling with the intensity that the midfield, the opponent's midfield is playing with. This is the sort of performance you see. And I mean, Araujo. Wow. Rookie. He's one of the most experienced players on the pitch for Barcelona, playing like a rookie. I mean, the fact that you got your first yellow for dissent and then made a stupid tackle with your second yellow card, I think that's really embarrassing as a senior player on the pitch, as the person with the armband on in a Champions League game. And I think coming into this game, there was so much hype. I mean, I remember when the draw was done and, you know, the remnants of Barcelona last season was in a lot of people's minds, but I think Barcelona of last season and this season is a bit different. It's clearly very different, and obviously there's factors in that. But I think with the defensive high line, I mean, Araujo, I'm not even going to talk about him too much, guys, because really and truly, there's nothing more for me to say aside from the fact that it's a ridiculous decision from him to fly into a tackle like that. You were never going to win the ball. And you know you're on a yellow. So to fly into that challenge and give the referees a reason to send you off, knowing what you know, the fact that, you know, in my opinion, Chelsea were growing in that game, it's a silly thing for him to do. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but what I want to talk about is the high line. I want to talk about the high line with Hansi Flick, because coming into this game, I saw Chelsea's lineup. I thought, wow, okay, similar to how I seen Benfica score against Barcelona in the Champions League last season, and I've seen many teams put multiple goals past Barcelona in this high line. I thought this Chelsea front line is going to have a field day with that high line, because in order for a high line to work, I think it's always risky. I always think a high line is risky, but when you're a man down, I think it's even more riskier, because now that central area is not as dominated as you would hope it to be. And with a team like Chelsea who play with that intensity that they do under Maresca, I mean, it's not by luck that they beat PSG in the Club World Cup. You know, they showed elements of what they can do in the Club World Cup. They've shown it this season, and they've shown it today against Barcelona. And I just think with that high line, it's not always necessary. You know, you need, and a lot of the goals that Barcelona concede, not just today against Chelsea, but just in general, it comes from those high lines. It comes from the high line, and everyone has to be in sync for the high line to work. If anybody steps up half a second too late, that's the only difference that it needs. And every goal, bar the Estevao one, so the two goals that Chelsea score is exactly like that. Somebody's stepping up late. And that's why I think the high line is very risky. I think if you're a man down and you're a goal down in the Champions League away from home, is it naive to continue like that? Despite the fact that you've seen historically over the last 12 months that you can concede many goals in that fashion in the Champions League, even in La Liga. That's my question to Barcelona fans. Would you have wanted Hansi Flick to just abandon that high line and just be compact defensively, rather than giving Chelsea the opportunity to let their players run in behind? Because that's what they did. That's exactly what they did. And I mean, I have to give a round of applause. Estevao is him. He's the truth. He's legit. He's not a wonder kid. He's a special talent. The technique and technical ability on that kid is out of this world. And for him, what he did to Kubasi and Balde, I think it's not about luck. The bounce on the ball is it's not about luck. It's about technique, and that is exactly why he controlled that game attacking wise for Chelsea. And in comparison, you're looking at, I think Koundé had an okay game. I mean, he scored an own goal, right? He scored an own goal. However, with saying that, against Garnacho versus Balde versus Estevao, I think both of them had their hands full. I think Garnacho was a handful for Koundé, and I also think Estevao was a handful for Balde, because Estevao does this thing where it's not just the wide channels that he can operate. He can come in centrally. He's able to do that. He's very good on the ball. He's tidy on the ball. He's neat on the ball. He can play with the ball, at close quarters, at close proximity, which you give him half a space to take, he will take that space and run into it. And that goal he scores today, I mean, for me, it's a phenomenal goal. And I just want to say one thing, because I watch Barca a lot and I watch Chelsea a lot. And watching this game today, for me, I could say Barcelona was bad, but I think Chelsea made them look bad. I genuinely think Chelsea made them look bad. For me, there was nobody, maybe bar Lamine, who was trying to do something, but it wasn't really working. There was no one for me. Frankie de Jong returning back into the lineup after being suspended on the weekend. Fermin Lopez, Ferran, nobody for me stood out for Barcelona. Lewandowski, I forgot he was playing. Genuinely speaking, I forgot he was playing. And that's why I don't want to downplay it to, Barcelona were bad. Barcelona were bad, but I think Chelsea made them look even worse. And that's why I said this is the worst Barcelona performance I've seen in a minute. I mean, in the Champions League, where I still think La Liga is Barcelona's bread and butter over the last couple of years, I still think they're trying to prove a point in the Champions League. You're looking at Real Madrid, who have won it in recent years. Barcelona haven't. They got close to the final last year. This hasn't been the greatest of starts in the Champions League for them. And I say this all the time. Coming into the season, throughout the season, I've said Barcelona have goals to be conceded. And until they eliminate that factor, it's going to be a situation where, and I said this in past videos, Barcelona just have to score more goals than they concede. Last season, that's how I felt that the games were. They will just always score more than what they concede. But when you're struggling to score, you're struggling to create in front of goal, you're struggling to get a chance in front of goal and take that chance, if you are conceding, you are pissed. And today is just an example of that. Today is a perfect example of that. I think Cucurella did a phenomenal job going forward and defensively. And I think he was very comfortable with dealing with maybe whatever Lamine Yamal had to offer. I mean, two players I have to talk about is Caicedo and Enzo. Two players who no one talks about their price tag anymore. Especially if you're Premier League fans, nobody talks about their price tag anymore because they deliver consistently. And Caicedo has been the topic of conversation a lot over the last couple of months about who is he the best in the Premier League. Just appreciate what he does, because today he was protecting the back line, getting the ball forward. He is that anchor in and out of possession. It's very rare that you find players that do it in and out of possession, especially I think in Premier League football. And for the fact that Chelsea have that in Moises Caicedo, let's forget about the whole is he the best. No one's talking about that price tag no more. And same with Enzo. Enzo and Caicedo today gassed out Barcelona's midfield. Barcelona's midfield of De Jong and Eric Garcia could not lay a glove on Chelsea because of the two of them, and even Reece James to an extent, until he came off in like the 80th minute. They could do nothing in midfield because Chelsea's intensity and Chelsea had that high level intensity consistent throughout the game, and I think it gassed Barcelona out. But equally with saying that, I think Barcelona had no answer for the lack of control they had in the game, and a big element is the absence of Pedri. If Pedri played, would they have lost 3-0? I don't know. Would they have lost that midfield battle? We don't know. But one factor for sure is the absence of Pedri. They say no Pedri, no party. So maybe that could be the case. I don't know, but I think you're doing a disservice to Chelsea if people actually say Barcelona were just bad. No, Chelsea made them look bad. Chelsea made them look average, beyond average. That is a Barcelona that I have not seen perform in such ways. I think over the course of the time under Hansi Flick, they always concede, but they always got an element in a goal of creating a goal and having a miraculous comeback. Today, I didn't see Barcelona scoring at any point. Even in those little glimpses of the game where they might have got a chance on goal, they missed some big chances as well. You're looking at total shots 5. from Barcelona. 2 on target, one big chance missed. That's it. That's it. Stamford Bridge is not an easy place to go as well. Where you're looking on the flip side, 15 shots from Chelsea, 6 on target. Chelsea had more shots on target than Barcelona had altogether in the game. Like, take that in for some context. And I think they were very consistent with their ball progression, getting the ball forward, but also taking care of the ball. And when they lose it, they'd win it back quickly. And that's why I'm saying the intensity and the level of intensity that Chelsea were playing with was just too much for Barcelona to deal with. And Barcelona maybe overthought the occasion. Maybe there was too much hype around it. But I think it's back to the drawing board for Hansi Flick and Barcelona, because that high line, teams have already found ways to exploit it. Teams have already found the blueprint. And once they found the blueprint of exploiting it, they just have to suffocate your midfield and stop you from breaking out with the ball. And you won't get any chances in goal. And that's why I think Barcelona need to walk with. They've had some poor performances in the Champions League. Not just in the Champions League. They've had some poor performances this season. I can name a couple. Off my head. But with that, what are they going to take from that going into the next run of games? You're looking at Barcelona and their next run of games. You know, they got Deportivo on the weekend. Next week, Atletico Madrid, and then Real Betis, and then another game in the Champions League. And then, you know, Chelsea coming off of the back of, you know, beating Burnley. They got Arsenal on the weekend, which is a big fixture. If Arsenal are able to maintain, if Chelsea, are able to maintain what they did today and on the weekend against Burnley into the Arsenal game, that would be a great fixture. But let me say this one more time. Do not discredit what Chelsea did today. Full credit goes to them for making Barcelona look as poor as they did. Araujo, I mean, you know, Barcelona may be thinking they shouldn't have let Martinez leave. I know age is a factor, big wages in Saudi is a factor, but defensively, they lack that leadership. That leadership quality is really lacking for Barcelona sometimes, and you see it in these big games. But Barca fans and Chelsea fans, let me know your thoughts down below. For a neutral, I'm not going to lie, guys, that was a very fun game to watch. Coming into the Champions League, you know, after the draw, this is a fixture that I've been looking forward to, and I can't lie, it didn't really disappoint. Barcelona disappointed a little bit though, because I expected them to put up a bit of a better of a fight. But let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here.